There are shows we've said goodbye to and some shows we've said hello to. We're going to talk about that and more on today's episode of the Geek Watch podcast.
This is the Geek Watch podcast with Brian Hatcher and Mandy Petrie.
Greetings, Geek Watchers, and welcome to episode 173 of the Geek Watch podcast. I'm Brian Hatcher, and with me, as always, Geek Watch's own resident geek goddess, Mandy Petrie.
Hello, Brian.
So we had our Thanksgiving week, and we are back for a little while anyway, until Christmas. But I'm glad to see that you're back. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving.
And likewise, I hope you ate turkey till you passed out.
I didn't quite get that far.
Not that far? Okay.
No, I ate turkey until I was in a slight coma, but set to go. But there was a bunch of things that have popped up to watch, and we're going to definitely talk about a lot of it, mostly television-wise. But I did want to... I don't know if you've been keeping up with the news, but Bob Chapek, the CEO of Disney, has left. Did you hear about this?
No, I have not. What?
Basically, what happened was, we've been talking about Bob Chapek because he took over for Bob Iger, and Bob Chapek was mostly with Disney during COVID, so that was a difficult time for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it was announced about a week ago that Bob Chapek would be stepping down from Disney, from the CEO position, to be replaced by Bob Iger, who's coming back.
I guess Bob Iger really just had a COVID vacay. And then it's okay, I'm ready to come back. But now that it's eased up and I can get back in the swing of things, like my turn. Gosh, that's...
I needed a vacation. There's been some debate about why this is happening because they figure Bob Iger is only going to be back for a little while. But there's been some issues with Disney stock. It's been fluctuating a little bit. And maybe there's a little bit of nervousness over that. And they want to put him back. Because obviously, when you look at what Bob Iger did while he was CEO of Disney, I mean, everything with the Marvel Cinematic Universe was on his watch. And so there's that attempt to bring the magic back, which, if you watch any Doctor Who, that sometimes what happens is you bring back an old player for a little while just to basically bring some of that old magic back. And I think that's what they're doing here.
Okay.
Again, I don't expect that Bob Iger is going to be around for very long, maybe a couple of years, just enough to right the ship again, maybe get things going back.
Train a new Bob.
Maybe they're running out of Bobs. So.
Yeah, we'll have to bring up some more.
Yeah,
Bobs.
Bob Burgers or Bob the Builder, another Bob. We will figure that out. But yeah, basically just in a sense, maybe just to get the ship maybe pointed back in a direction where it was going before COVID. And so I guess we will definitely find out.
We shall see, yeah.
We'll definitely find out how that's going. So let's talk about television. And let's get started. I want to talk first of all about some of the things that I got to see. Now, I know there's some stuff that you've seen that was different, and I definitely want to talk about that for sure. But because we're talking about Thanksgiving, we got to talk about the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special.
Ooh, so you've seen that?
I have seen that.
And?
It's so much fun.
Yes, it looks like it is.
It's a lot of fun. Definitely is going to be worth you checking out. And I don't want to go into a whole lot of spoilers, but there's a very interesting reveal at the beginning that I'm sure is going to play very much into the movie. It's part of what is basically the motivation for a lot of stuff that happens in the story.
Kevin Bacon is a Skrull.
No, he's not a Skrull. Well,
that we know of.
True. I may not know what I'm talking about here, but if you've ever seen any parts of the Star Wars holiday special,
yes,
there are a few nods there for sure.
Okay, all right.
And there's also a couple of interesting nods from Eternals. Now, like I've said, I wasn't the biggest fan of the film, but there were certain moments in the film that I liked, and I was very fond of the Kingo character. And Kingo, if you've not seen the film, he spent a lot of his time doing Bollywood movies. He was a Bollywood movie star. And I'm doing quote fingers for this. His father was, his grandfather was.
Okay.
So basically, when they're on Earth and they're in Hollywood, there are a couple of posters that show up that are Kingo films. And says, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. But like I said, there's a lot of Easter eggs for things like the Star Wars Holiday Special. It is a very heartwarming, Christmassy, wonderful kind of a thing, which I really did enjoy. And a little bit of some origin stuff, why certain characters have done certain things in the movies. It was a lot of fun. I thought it might be a bit of a throwaway, but then again, it's Guardians of the Galaxy and the last Guardians movie. Those are going to be the last things James Gunn does.
Okay.
So, of course, he's going to be busy in doing DC.
DC, yeah.
Because...
Hey, I'll take James Gunn. Whatever he gives us. Thank you.
Yeah, and when I first saw the trailers for the holiday special, I thought, this is going to be a fun little knockoff thing. But then again, I forgot James Gunn. So there was a lot of good stuff in there. Mm-hmm. And definitely a lot of stuff that's going to be setting up the movie, which is going to be a harsh one, obviously, because this is going to be the last of the Guardians. And when you get to the end, not everyone's going to make it to the end of the movie, from what I understand. But we got a little bit of holiday cheer before that happened. Mm-hmm. And speaking of endings, we might as well do this now. But this is going to be the last time I hit this button, so let me hit this button.
What the Dead.
Literally the last What the Dead we're ever going to do on this show. So
that goes back all the way back to like episode 1 of Geek Watch Podcast, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was probably like the first episodes that we did together. Certainly, we did What the Dead. So this has been a show that's been that long. And like I said, before we went on our Thanksgiving break, I had seen it already, and I had a few thoughts about it. I know you haven't seen it yet. Let me ask you, how spoilery do you think?
Spoilers don't matter to me. I can still enjoy something completely. I'll watch Psycho 10 times over. I know what's going on and going to happen. I still love it.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Don't tell me what that.
Okay.
So, I joke, but
I know.
I'm not going to go into a great deal of detail in it, except to say they were wrapping everything up. And this last episode reminded me everything that I love and everything that I hate about The Walking Dead. Because it was all on display. I'll tell you what, I will talk about two different things. The one thing that I really hated about the show, and I've hated about the show for a while, and then the one thing that I really loved about that last episode. I think a reason why some people have basically jumped off and haven't watched it in a long time was how they dealt with character deaths for the longest time. At the beginning, they had an impact, and you didn't see a lot of it coming, but after a while, you just got used to it. So it didn't have the impact that it used to have, basically.
Yep.
And we talked about the whole issue with Glenn. It's, he's dead. Oh, no, wait, he's alive again. Oh, now they killed him horribly. Oh, no. And they did that with a character in this last episode. Within the one final show, you thought they died. Oh, no, they lived. Oh, no, they're dying. Ugh. And that, again, it was over the course of just one episode. And it was that moment where you're like, oh, they haven't figured out that's a pain in the ass. Make it mean something.
Don't toy.
Yeah, and it was the same thing with Glenn. When they killed him, but they gave you a couple of episodes to think he was dead, and you find out he's alive, and then a few episodes later you kill him for real. Mm-hmm. But in this, again, they just went through that entire deal over the course of 20 minutes. They fake you out with a death, and then they give you the real one. And it's one of the things that I felt like it was really why the show started to tank for me, even though I continued to watch it, was when you are obviously being manipulative. Now, a story is supposed to manipulate your emotions. Mm-hmm. But you got to do a deft hand. When it's obvious that you're shoving the rabbit under the hat, it's not that enjoyable. Mm-hmm. And I've always had that issue. And they would always have either we're going to kill off a character or we're going to chop somebody's hand off. And they did both of them in the last episode.
Wow.
So you get a character that you care about who died after a fake out where you thought they died, and then you have a character that gets their hand chopped off. So it's the two things that I found most annoying about The Walking Dead in the later seasons. And again, because this all happened in the last episode, what kind of emotional buildup do you really get out of it? But talking about Glenn dying, I do have to say there was one thing about the show I really did appreciate this last episode, which was how they dealt with Maggie and Negan. Because, of course, we both know they're going to be doing...
Spin-off together, yeah.
They're doing the spin-off together. And so One thing that I know we've talked about, and one thing I've been worried about, is if they're going to do that show, how are they going to deal with this whole issue with Maggie and Negan? Obviously, there's some history involved, for sure. Are you just going to ignore that whole thing? How does that happen? And you get a scene toward the end of the episode with Maggie and Negan talking, mostly Maggie talking, and she tells Negan, I appreciate the fact you saved my son's life, but I'm never going to be able to forgive you. Glenn was the love of my life, and I will always remember how you mocked him as you killed him, and he was screaming out for me. If there are moments where I have a problem being around you, you have to understand, all I have are my memories, and I don't want one of them to be that. But what choice do I have? And I really appreciated that. I appreciated the fact that you had this moment where it's, okay, I appreciate what you've done. I can get along with you, but there's some times where I'm just going to have to step away because you're just going to remind me of the worst moment of my life, and you're always going to do that. And that felt real to me, certainly more than just, let's just have the two of those characters ignore all their past history because we've got this show to do. And now I am going to go on record to say that if there's any kind of romantic scene between Maggie and Negan in this show, I'm really not going to like that ever.
Yeah, I don't see how that would.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that the fact that they've given Negan a wife and a soon to have a child, that they're basically saying, nope, we're not going there. And here's the proof. We are taking that completely off the table. He's in a relationship. They're going to have a child together. And, well, the fact that that character wasn't killed off just to drive Negan, they didn't do that.
Wow, I'm surprised.
Yeah, I was expecting her to have the red shirt. We talked about that. But no, she's still around, and she's still a part of Negan's life. And so the fact that they have put that character up there to say, hey, no, there's not going to be a Maggie Negan thing. Okay. The only time I want to see those two characters together doing anything would be a Flashpoint type of thing where he's Batman and she's the Joker. Okay. I'll take that. I would enjoy that. But yeah, the idea.
Baby Batfleck is dead in the.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm so glad they didn't go down that road, that they didn't just try to whitewash this whole history between the two of those characters. Because, like I said at the time, it's that tension between them that's going to help drive story. It's going to be a great engine for story narrative. And if they just pretend like it never happened, that's not going to work. Now, I don't know how interested I'm going to be in watching any of the spinoffs, even though, of course, you're getting like an all-star cast of these spinoffs because you're getting Maggie and Negan in one spinoff. You're getting Daryl Dixon in another spinoff, and you're getting Rick and Michonne back. So whole talk about them doing a movie, I guess they're doing a spinoff show instead. They thought that would be better to do, and so we're going to get a show with them.
Here come the Grimeses.
Yet at the same time, I never really got that much into Fear of the Walking Dead. I never really watched that show very much. I did start watching Tales from the Walking Dead, but I was like 2 or 3 episodes into it and then just lost interest in it. So I don't know how much I'm going to get into the new shows. I don't know. I feel like I should maybe be fair and give it a chance, but I don't know. But then again, if The Walking Dead was just starting out and basically the show that it is right now, that type of show, yeah, I don't know how interested I would be in it. I wonder if a lot of what kept me watching the show was just basically nostalgia and stubbornness. I really wonder if that might not have been the case. But I remember, of course, after the first season, the whole thing with Frank Darabont and how weird all that was. But there was a lot of great moments in that show, and I really enjoyed it, especially toward the first part of it. But it's like anything else. There's a certain point where it just wears you out. I think that was what happened. As somebody who didn't watch Game of Thrones, I feel like maybe it ran into the same issue.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's, we got to end it, so how do we do it? So, like I said, there were some parts about that show that reminded me of why that show really bothers the hell out of me sometimes. But It also reminded me that there were some really great moments in that show. There was some really wonderful moments I had watching the show. There we go.
It was a good era of television.
Yeah. But we got some good eras of television coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I just finished watching the last 2 episodes of Interview with a Vampire, which you haven't seen yet. Or have you?
I honestly, I don't remember if I've seen the last episode or not. Not a lot has been going on, so I can't remember if I've seen the last episode, but I love it so much. And
well,
so
the thing about it is,
this.
I would say ultimately that if you had seen the last episode, you'd have remembered.
Okay, then I probably haven't, yeah.
Yeah, there was a reveal right at the end.
Ooh.
That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, all right.
About a character that I knew was going to be around, I wasn't expecting to see then.
Okay, this could be Marius, this could be Armand, this could be...
And it was a shock. I'll just say that. The way this reveal happened was pretty interesting. And certainly the way they're dealing with Claudia and Louis and Lestat and how they ended it for that season, they certainly set up for season 2 for sure. We're definitely getting a season 2, obviously.
Yes.
But I love the way that they developed that story a little bit more than even in the book. There was, if you read the book, you're expecting a certain moment, and it's like you don't exactly get it.
But and they twist of it.
They twist it a little bit, but they also hang over your head. Oh, it ain't gonna happen.
Okay.
You're like, okay, that's interesting.
Okay.
And how it develops is, I really enjoyed it. They've definitely set up some stuff.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty solid. But, of course, I thought it was like the first of the year, they're going to do the Mayfair Witches show.
Yes.
So, I guess what they're going to do is...
Tie-ins, so...
Yeah, they're going to tie into it. We're going to get Lasher. They've already teased that in the trailer. So maybe they're just going to be going back and forth. We get the Interview with the Vampire, then we get a Mayfair Witches season, and then we go back to Interview with the Vampire. So that was awesome. I've seen the first 2 episodes of the second half season of Rick and Morty.
Oh, okay.
Which I've been enjoying the heck out of. The first episode was nothing but basically meta commentary, story structure, and puns. It's like they made a Rick and Morty episode for me. And I've said that before, but this one was like, really, this was like, okay, we want to make Brian an absolute glorious episode of Rick and Morty that he's going to love.
It's all you, man.
It's all about writing stories. It's all about, tropes of story writing, and it's all puns. And it basically starts out with this. It says previously on Rick and Morty. I'm like, previous what? And you start seeing scenes from the last season, but then you start seeing scenes that you don't
never happened. I love that. I love
that never happened.
Community did that. I loved it.
Yeah, and some of these scenes were things that you saw. If you've seen the new opening, it's like, there they are with Jack the Ripper. It's, oh, okay, there's that scene. But what? And it was like the weirdest thing. And then you find out that Rick basically breaks Morty out of this trance that they're in. They're being bled and sucked dry by this alien-looking mosquito person who is known as, and here's your first pun, Previous Leon. So, who is this creature who basically what he does is he drains your potential. You know how the Weeping Angels?
Yes.
How they throw you back in time and they steal your life potential from that point on. So what he does is he just basically makes you live your life fast forward in a previously on, where it gets progressively more and more weird until you just basically die. So your life bleeds into this recap that becomes more and more ridiculous.
To comb through a lot of flashbacks.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there is a character there called Flashback who has the ability of basically making you relive something. And you had that character. And then you have Brett Kahn, who his ability is basically he can make something in the world it was always that way.
It was always that way, yes.
And retcon, which is funny because Morty says, it's like, why didn't he just do retcon? Rhett is a name. You could have just done retcon. And he said, it has always been retcon. So it became that. And and that character is very much like Dr. Manhattan, because he's literally he's all powerful. And there are a lot of references to a lot of the older episodes. It is, like I said, it's literally just basically meta commentary on the show itself. And all I got to say is, I'm sitting here watching this show. It's like the only thing this show is missing is an appearance by Campbell, the hero of the Thousand Faces. It's like there's no Joseph Campbell in it. That's the only thing else you could do with this show. And then Joseph Campbell appears. So they actually did put Joseph Campbell in the show. They literally made Joseph Campbell a character in the show. Oh my God, here we go. That was, like I said, it was amazing. It was amazing. I loved the hell out of it. But there was one show that you watched that I haven't seen yet. Wednesday. So tell me about it.
Wednesday. Oh my goodness, Brian. I don't even know, where do I begin with Wednesday? It's so good. It's not even my rose-colored geek glasses. This is just that good a TV show. There is something in it that the Addams Family, so far that I have recalled, I haven't seen the Addams Family musical, so maybe not, but playing up the whole rebel against your parents thing. That's not something that you've seen in the Addams
But that is
Family.
in the musical.
Is it? Okay.
It is in the musical.
Okay, so see, you something that I haven't. So we're playing that up here. And while we know it's Tim Burton, it doesn't have that sort of Disney Burton feel that kind of sapped away what he tried to create in his early work. And there's some great references to Pee-wee's Big Adventure and fantastic references to the movies, the TV show, and other movies and TV shows that were great influences on the Addams Family. And it is a mystery. It's very detective, very Sherlock Watson going on with this. So it's fantastic in that way. And it's a really, really good story. And it has that, which I love, is the paranormal mundane. Paranormal exists. Everyone in the world knows about it. It's okay. That's the school where the werewolves go. And everyone in town knows that's where the werewolves go. And that's where the vampires go. And that's where the mermaids go to school. They know it. And it's just a part of life. And so that's very interesting. And we're seeing that side of it. And it is just, it's such good. And all the acting is just chef's kiss. Every character. And there's no waste. Every single character, every single extra has their own story, and you can tell by looking at them. And every child in the school, every child in the town, every adult in the town has history. And you immediately know how this man feels about this person that he went to high school with. And how they put that together is just, it's fantastic, and it's really good. I can't wait to finish this season and see what more we get from it.
I'm excited about it. I've been planning on watching it. Obviously, I've been watching a bunch of other stuff and getting caught up on a few things, but I definitely wanted to watch it. What I do know about the show, besides the fact Addams Family and all of that, and I know, of course, first of all, I had heard that it had knocked Stranger Things off as being the most popular download on Netflix.
Right.
And it's already become a meme, the dance.
I haven't come across the dance yet, so I can't wait to see it.
Oh, yeah. It's already a meme at this point.
Okay.
And what I love about it is, number one, Jenny Ortega, who played Wednesday, she created that dance herself. She watched a bunch of 80s goths dancing. She watched videos.
Wow.
And she used that
to inspire
it. And the song is the Cramps. I'm like, they're playing the Cramps? Holy cow, Jenny Ortega is goated. That's all I'm going to say about that. She is totally goated. And she wasn't sure how that was going to work out. She was like, oh, maybe this is a little bit too silly, but everybody's just like, no, this is like the best thing ever. And it's incredible. Like I said, I've seen little clips of it.
Yeah.
That's about it, because at this point, it's a meme. It's a total meme.
Right.
And of course, if you spend 2 minutes on TikTok, you've already seen people recreating the dance on their TikToks.
Awesome. No, but I don't have TikTok, so I don't get on there.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Even if you don't have TikTok, if you're going anywhere online, somebody's posted them doing a TikTok, or somebody doing a TikTok of the dance. So it's a complete viral moment.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's definitely reminiscent of the goth clubs of the 80s and all of that. And the fact that, like, again, the music is the Cramps. Talk about a deep cut, which I love it when shows do a deep cut. And this was one thing I didn't even mention when I was talking about the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. They open it up. The song that they open the show up with is Fairy Tale of New York by the Pogues. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know it because I'm a big fan of the Pogues. I have the album that song came off of, If I Should Fall from Grace from God. It's from that album, and I have it on vinyl. I listened to it when I was a teenager. I'm a big fan of punk music, but what a lot of people, when they think of punk music, it's very aggro, it's very fast, it's very often with a British accent. But punk music isn't just that. And this is punk music, but it's punk music that's Celtic and Gaelic and sounds like an Irish tavern. So it's very much that music, but the themes of that music, is very much punk. And even the name of the band is very punk. And I think for the sake of trying to keep this all ages, I won't talk about it.
Okay.
But, yeah, that just shocked me. But I love the fact that you get this deep cut right at the beginning. And I was like, I hear that opening melody, and I'm like, are they doing Fairy Tale of New York by the Pogues? That's what, and shocked the heck out of me. Just like when I saw the clip from Wednesday. And they're doing the Cramps. Again, another post-punk, not exactly goth rock, but very close to it. I mean, definitely goth adjacent. So somebody somewhere knows something about what they're doing. So, yeah, Wednesday I'm definitely looking forward to.
Oh, yeah.
And, again, it's like we got all this wonderful stuff coming in. Things tend to slow down a little bit for the holidays, but, we're getting into the Christmas season, and usually there's some surprises along the way, and so I guess we'll see what's next.
We shall see.
And with that said, we come to the end of episode 173. Thank you for listening, and tune in next time for the latest in geek news and views with the Geek Watch podcast. For Mandy Petrie, this is Brian Hatcher, reminding all the Geek Watchers out there, we're all geeky about something. Be proud of yours. See you next time. Thank you for listening to the Geek Watch podcast. If you enjoyed this program, don't forget to like and subscribe on your preferred platform and share this podcast on your social media. For links to all the ways you can listen to the Geek Watch podcast, as well as leave comments and suggestions, visit our website at geekwatch.net. The Geek Watch podcast is a Hanging J production.